The joke wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. Just a few words in Arabic, soft enough to blend with the hum of the conference room, sharp enough to slice through me. Omar leaned toward the guy from finance, smirking. Da el gorilla. Ali Bayfaker. Eno Yabda manager. That's the gorilla who thinks he'll be a manager. Laughter under their breath. I didn't move. My hands stayed on the trackpad, flipping to the next slide. People who don't know you understand Arabic. It's a small world, until it isn't. The projector hummed. The client's logo glowed on the wall. 20 faces watched me explain projected margins for Q3. Omar sat 2 seats away, still grinning, pen spinning between his fingers. He thought he was safe behind language. Everyone does until the room rearranges itself around silence. 8 years in Dubai taught me that silence isn't weakness. It's storage. You collect things in it, tone, words, timing, and when the right moment comes, you unpack them slowly, neatly. Evan, our director said, can you walk them through the variance in cost modeling? Of course. My voice was steady even. I explained, line by line, clean and clear, the kind of clarity that leaves no air for laughter. Omar leaned back, checked his phone. He thought I didn't notice. I noticed everything. When the meeting ended, he clapped me on the back like we were friends. Nice job, man, he said, his accent soft but deliberate. I looked at him. Thanks, I replied, in Arabic. El shagul ma bekun, likol el nas. Work's not for everyone. He blinked, lips parting just slightly, and then smiled too wide. You speak Arabic? Just enough to understand what's said in meetings. I said it lightly, like a joke that wasn't. He laughed, too loud. People glanced over. He kept talking, overcompensating, words tumbling into a blur. I just nodded, eyes on my notes. Back at my desk, I pulled up the client's shared drive. The report Omar was supposed to deliver still had placeholders and errors. Half the formulas were broken. He was sloppy, confident enough to mock, lazy enough to leave fingerprints. I didn't fix it right away. I just saved a copy to my own folder, time-stamped. Then I opened a new spreadsheet, started building from scratch. Clean, structured, bulletproof, no rush. When you've lived abroad long enough, you learn 2 kinds of patience. The kind that waits for opportunity, and the kind that becomes it. At noon, Omar stopped by my cubicle, leaning against the wall like nothing had happened. You free for lunch? I looked up. Not today. Got a few things to finish. He shrugged, a flash of teeth. You work too hard, man. Yeah, I said. That's what they pay me for. He walked off, humming. I watched his reflection in my screen. That afternoon, our director pinged the team chat. Need final client deck by Friday morning. Evan, can you handle the budget section? Omar, you'll integrate it and send to me by EOD. I typed back. Sure, I'll make sure it's clean. Omar reacted with a thumbs-up emoji. I smiled. Not at the emoji, at the word clean. By 7 p.m., the office was mostly empty. Outside, Manhattan was awash of lights and horns. Inside, only the soft clatter of keys and the low hiss of the espresso machine. I stayed. Not because I had to, but because I wanted every number perfect, every chart tight, every explanation bulletproof. No anger, no vengeance, just precision, because precision makes noise without raising your voice. At 9:13, I exported the deck, attached it to an email with one line. Updated financial forecast, ready for integration. CC, director. BCC, myself, attachment, clean. I shut down the laptop, took my coat, and walked past Omar's empty desk. His chair was tilted back, a half-empty coffee cup beside it, a notebook open with half a sentence written. Client priorities, ask Evan for data. He never did, and I never offered. In the elevator, the mirror caught my reflection, neutral, unreadable. That's the thing about people who underestimate you. They always give you the ending early. They just don't realize you're already writing it. By Thursday morning, the shift had already begun, subtle, invisible, but real. When the client emailed our director with a compliment, the revised budget sheet was the clearest they'd seen all quarter. The thanks got passed down the chain. "Nice work, team," the message read. Omar replied first. "Glad it landed well." I didn't respond. The silence was louder than anything I could have typed. By noon, he was at my desk again. "Hey man, can you send me the version you used?" "The one you uploaded still has inconsistencies," I said without looking up. "You'll need to fix your model before I can merge it." "Oh, right. Yeah, sure." He smiled, but his eyes flickered. That was the first small crack. In the following days, I kept it surgical. I didn't roll my eyes at his jokes. I didn't correct him in front of anyone. I didn't need to. Every time he spoke in a meeting, I tightened the parts of my work that intersected with his, cleaned his rough edges without calling attention to them. Then, during weekly reports, I positioned the phrasing carefully. After resolving a few calculation errors in the preliminary draft, I updated the final cost model. No blame, no attack, just quiet accuracy. People in management notice quiet accuracy. By week's end, the director looped me in directly with the client's finance team. "Evan, you seem to understand the modeling best. Handle direct revisions going forward." Omar nodded like it didn't sting. "Sure, whatever helps the project." That was his second mistake, pretending it didn't bother him. He stayed late a few nights, tried to reclaim authority by hovering. I let him. He'd make mistakes faster that way. Thursday, he asked me to check a formula. I leaned over, scanned the screen. The equation looped back into itself, producing double values. "Circular reference," I said. He frowned. "What's that?" "An infinite loop," I replied. "You'll never get a result if you keep referring to yourself." The words hung there longer than they should have. At lunch, I sat alone, coffee and quiet. From the cafeteria window, I could see the reflection of Omar 3 tables away, performing laughter for a group from HR. It was always a performance, and performances eventually need an audience. That night, I received an email. Urgent. Presentation review tomorrow. The final pitch before client sign-off. Omar had been assigned to lead. I opened the deck he'd attached. 10 minutes later, I found 3 factual inconsistencies, 2 missing slides, and a translation error in the Arabic summary for the Middle East investors. It wasn't malicious, just careless. But careless is a gift if you know how to wrap it. I corrected every detail, formatted the layout, and rebuilt the flow until it was clean enough to make a director smile. Then I sent it. Not to Omar, not to the team, but straight to the director. Updated for tomorrow's review. Final version attached. Sent at 1:04 a.m. CC Director. No Omar. At 9 a.m., we filed into the glass conference room. Clients on the screen. Coffee cups, notepads, smiles that didn't reach eyes. Omar opened the meeting with confidence that didn't belong to him. "Let's begin with the new projections," he said, clicking through slides I'd built. The clients nodded, asked questions, took notes. Our director smiled. Halfway through, one of the investors interrupted. This wasn't in the previous draft. Who integrated this?" Omar hesitated, then said, "The team collaborated." I cut in gently, tone even. "I finalized the data integration last night. Glad it reads clearly." A pause. Then the client smiled. "It does. Excellent work." Omar's jaw tightened just enough for me to see it. He didn't speak for the rest of the meeting. Afterward, as people filtered out, he stayed behind. "You're really going to pull that?" he asked quietly. "Make me look like I didn't do my job?" I closed my laptop slowly. "I didn't make you look like anything, Omar." He waited, expecting me to add something, to gloat, to fight. I didn't. He laughed, too forced. "You're not as calm as you think you are, man. I see it. You're pissed." "No," I said. "You confused calm with empty. They're different things." Then I walked out, leaving him standing in his own echo. That night, I went home to a quiet apartment. No satisfaction yet, just the clean space before a strike. Revenge isn't a moment, it's a rhythm, and the tempo had just begun. The joke returned 3 weeks later. Same mouth, same arrogance, Just a different audience. People like Omar don't stop when you stay calm. They mistake silence for surrender. It happened during a Monday morning meeting. The director was out sick, leaving Omar acting lead on the call. 5 of us were seated around the table, camera on. Clients dialed in from Riyadh and Abu Dhabi. I'd already sent the updated performance summary that morning, neat and bulletproof as always. Halfway through, a client mentioned a data inconsistency. Omar tried to explain it away, fumbling through slides. He turned to me with that performative grin, then switched to Arabic. Shuf el kawajada, ma yefham el thrualam el tarabi kida. See, this foreigner doesn't understand how the Arab world works. It wasn't loud, just enough for a few chuckles around the room. I heard it clearly. The rhythm, the smugness, the certainty that I wouldn't respond. I looked up. Slow, deliberate. Then in perfect measured Arabic, I said, Ana e triraf el trialam el triarabi actor. Men elli yafaker enel a7 tiram optional. I understand the Arab world better than the people who think respect is optional. The air shifted instantly. The clients froze, then broke into quiet smiles. One of them laughed softly. Not at me, but at the absurdity of it. Omar's face went blank, color draining in slow motion. He tried to recover, mumbling something about a misunderstanding, but the sound of his own voice betrayed him. I didn't look at him again. I turned back to the clients. Let's continue, I said evenly, still in Arabic. As you can see, the model assumes a 3% inflation margin for Q4. The figures are conservative, but stable. They nodded, grateful for a professionalism where there'd been condescension. One of them even said, Shukran, Evan, Lugtak, Sapshiha, Jidan. Thank you, Evan. Your Arabic is excellent. I switched back to English for the rest of the call. When it ended, the silence in the room wasn't peaceful. It was clinical. Everyone felt it. Omar stood frozen with a smile that had nowhere left to land. After the client signed off, I closed my laptop and started gathering my things. He spoke first, voice low and brittle. You didn't have to embarrass me like that. I paused. Embarrassment isn't something you receive, I said. It's something you earn. He took a step closer. You're trying to make me look stupid in front of them. No, I replied. You did that the moment you assumed I was deaf in 2 languages. He stared, jaw clenched, and for a second I thought he might actually apologize. But arrogance is allergic to humility. He just muttered, You've got some nerve, and walked out. By the time he reached his desk, 2 people from HR had already seen the meeting recording. Corporate platforms log everything, transcripts, languages detected, even tone analysis. When one of the clients switched languages mid-call, the system flagged it automatically. That was protocol. And when the transcript was reviewed, the joke was still there. He didn't know that yet, but I did, because I got a message at 2:14 p.m. from the director, freshly back in the office. Hey, Evan, can you stop by for a quick chat about this morning's call? I walked into his office, calm. He was watching the playback on mute, eyebrows raised. Impressive Arabic, he said. How long were you in Dubai? 8 years. He nodded slowly, like connecting the dots of a puzzle he didn't know existed. And Omar's comment? I'd rather not make it a complaint, I said. Just wanted to clarify the data for the client. He looked at me, almost amused. You sure? Positive. He leaned back, thoughtful. You handled that better than most people I know. When I left his office, I passed Omar in the hallway. His phone was in his hand, eyes darting through notifications. He looked up as I walked by. They talked to you? He asked. Yeah, I said. We talked about professionalism. He swallowed hard. Right. That afternoon, HR sent a department-wide reminder about cultural sensitivity in global communications. No names, no references, but everyone knew. By evening, people looked at me differently, not with sympathy, but with recognition, the quiet kind, the kind that says he doesn't raise his voice, but he's the one you shouldn't underestimate. When I left the office, the sunset hit the glass towers like fire. I passed Omar at his desk, staring blankly at his screen. He didn't look up. Outside, the air felt lighter than it had in weeks. Not because of the win, but because I hadn't chased it. Respect that's taken quietly lasts longer than revenge shouted out loud. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel watched. I felt seen. The following Monday came with rain, thin, cold, and constant, the kind that settles into everything. When I walked into the office, Omar's chair was empty, his monitor dark, nameplate gone. Only a stack of HR folders sat where his laptop used to be. People don't disappear overnight in corporate life, not really. They fade first, fewer meetings, shorter replies, then one day their desk just stops being theirs. Around noon, the director called me in. He was casual, smiling the way people do when they've already made a decision. Omar's been reassigned to a different regional project, he said, tone neutral. We'll be redistributing some of his accounts. I'd like you to take over client strategy for the Gulf portfolio. I nodded. Understood. He leaned back, studying me for a second longer than necessary. You know, I didn't realize you were fluent. You hide that kind of thing well. Some lessons don't need to be advertised, I said. He chuckled. Well, whatever happened, you handled it the right way. No noise, no escalation, just results. That was it. The quiet reward. No trophies, no speeches, just new access and more trust. The kind that can't be faked, and once earned, can't be undone. Back at my desk, a few coworkers nodded as I passed. Not pity, respect. Even the ones who'd laughed at Omar's jokes before kept their distance now. Not out of guilt, out of recognition. They'd seen the shift. At 4 p.m., I got an email from HR. Subject line, follow-up, confidential. They thanked me for my professionalism, mentioned internal review, and assured me the matter had been addressed appropriately. I deleted the email after reading it once. Some things don't need to be kept. When I left that evening, the rain had stopped. The streets were glazed with reflection, neon lights bending in puddles, taxis hissing by. I walked without hurry, the city moving around me like a machine I no longer had to fight. At a crosswalk, I caught a reflection in a storefront window. My own, quiet and still. 8 years in Dubai had taught me many things. Patience, restraint, the difference between pride and ego. But the hardest lesson was this. Dignity doesn't announce itself. It just stays. The next week, Omar sent me a message from his personal email. Did you report me? No greeting, no apology. Just that. I read it twice, then replied, no need. You reported yourself the moment you opened your mouth. Then I archived the thread. Weeks passed. The project expanded. Clients started copying me directly instead of team. Meetings were smoother, no more whispers in other languages, no sidelong smirks. Just work, precise, predictable, peaceful. One afternoon, our new intern stopped by my desk. Hey, Evan, she said, shy but curious. I heard you speak Arabic. Is that true? I smiled slightly. Only when there's a reason. She laughed nervously. So? Not often? Hopefully never again. When she walked away, I turned back to my screen. There was nothing dramatic about the end. No confrontation, no applause. Just balance, restored so quietly it barely made a sound. That night, I stayed a little later. The office empty, the hum of computers fading one by one. I poured myself a cup of stale coffee and stood by the window, watching the city pulse below. Somewhere, Omar was probably still trying to explain what happened, to someone who'd already heard the story. That's the thing about humiliation. It doesn't echo when you own it. But when you deny it, it multiplies. I didn't hate him. I didn't need to. He was a man who thought language could protect him, when in truth, it only revealed him. As I shut off my monitor and grabbed my coat, the reflection in the glass looked back at me, sharper somehow, Same face, same eyes, just quieter, inside. Revenge had never been the goal. It was never about winning. It was about remembering who you are when someone tries to make you smaller. And in that silence, in that calm, measured restraint, I had already won.